Okay. So there was a techie guy in a second, like a second ago. I'm more like a transformers, let's say, right? A guy in the middle, right? Always, right? So if we think about it like an idea, right? So product idea, a need, right? You see a trend on the market and so on, right? And then let's say this is our product, like a digital, solid, coded, well balanced, right? Features and like the app, right? So I was always in the middle. Of course, like understanding both, right? Sometimes being more like a visionary, like a VP of product and so on, right? Sometimes being more like or a creative guy. Sometimes being like more it's just like it's I don't know, maybe it's a shame to say, but I wanted to be a front end developer once, right? So aimed to it. But basically now I'm a consultant, and I'm actually like always a connector, a translator, working with founders, with entrepreneurs, also from like a big businesses, like and I'll show you in a second, right today, and also with like just like my friends or entrepreneurs here from the society. I usually don't say no. This is maybe a mistake, but I'm learning. Matt. Okay. So today will be from the product need to a product done, right? And just sometimes is that you will see lots of like slides probably today, lots of words, right? So I want to keep it really simple. I'll show you just 3 things today, right? And just before I do so, I like to break the rule that Kuba said. Like, you can do everything you want now, right? You can go for a coffee, you can check your phone, scroll your mobile, whatever. Because like just like listening using ears is just one layer of human being, right? So I don't care, because like if we are aligned, you will get the message anyway. Today is Saturday. What would you normally do on Saturday, guys? Just any ideas? Okay, makes sense. Okay, I would normally go to the forest, right? So just like there will be 3 things. One is the forest, right? And the second, like there will be number 2 and number 3 in a second, right? So normally I'll go to the forest and try to just like tell the story to myself, or hear the story basically that I have in mind, right? Something that emerges inside me. And like I would like to invite you to go to the forest today now, right, together, if you don't mind. Of course you can scroll or whatever, but if you feel like going, right, just please join. It will be fun. So I think about today. I have a story that emerged me. I meditated a lot just before this this talk, and it came to me that the most important thing to say is that we always, like as founders, like no matter what role you have, if you are like a manager, a dev manager, if you are a CTO, if you are a CEO, if you are like product director, right, a product manager, or a developer, no matter what, I believe we are like, you can consider it like a small or big or large, right? Like creators. Like a small could be, I think, like really big, powerful creators, but no matter what your point of view is, like we create, right? And if you are a developer, you create code, right? This is the byproduct, right? The end result, right? If you are maybe more open-minded, I would say, in my opinion, you would say that you create experience or products, right? Or someone that is supposed to enrich other people's lives, right? But if you're a CTO, what will be the end results? Of course, you can say product, but still, like on a day-to-day basis, sometimes you create decisions, or you create teams, right? If you're a CEO, one would say, okay, it's all about financial results, right? Margin, profit. If you are in SaaS, you would say MRR, right? Or reducing the churn rate, whatever. That's true, of course, but I also think it's more about like the day-to-day work is just to create the environment for the product to grow, right? For people to grow. And there's actually a guy called Chip Conley. This is a former Airbnb guy, a CEO, and who redefined the role of the CEO. He says that that the acronym stands for Chief Emotional Officer. So he believes that he's all about managing emotions so that the product can grow. But so I think that if we are like could consider ourselves like creators, right? There's a creative process, and you could be considered, me, right? All of us could be considered as artists in some way, right? As creators, artists. And I would like to use this metaphor to show you the anti-patterns, the way we actually, I think, unconsciously do and we fail, right? I'm not like the one that without blame, right? I failed 2 times. One as a product manager that didn't manage to deliver the KPIs, and one like just on my own, right, with my own products. So I'm not. It will be also for. I'm speaking also for me, for myself today. So we have the idea, right? We have the idea, something really abstract, right? Here, something really. If we are a clay artist, right? An artist that is supposed to create a pottery, right? A song of songs, a pottery of potteries, like something the best in our lives, right? Right. So something that is supposed to be like our baby, right? We don't want to. We want our babies to live long, right? It's just like with products or with financial results. We want to have long-lasting products, right? Long-lasting results. We want to have the trends like a hockey stick, right? All of us in startup domain, right? Especially in startup domain, right? So we want to have that, right? And we start with ideas. And it's if you're a clay artist, or if you are like, could be. I would like to bring this abstract metaphor here to your context. You're out there on the field, working today, showing up, right? Being motivated, probably. And what you do is just like we have. You either come up with your own ideas to improve your business, right? Like could be product, could be service, could be little improvement, or actually you are seeing steps, right, of your competitors, and you want to follow them, or you're actually someone brings to you a good soil, right? So it could be a customer saying, "Hey, don't do it this way. If you create this feature or like improve the process, I'll be with you. I'll be loyal. I'll give you even more money," right? So no matter what the strategy is, like at some stage you will have the product idea. You will have some kind of like innovation that you would like to introduce, right? And but of course, before you create the product, right? I mean, like a solid software, and not like code, but just like a working software, right? Here, there are some steps, right? So tell me, like, before maybe jump, like specifying the steps, how long does it take for you to just to move from A to B? How long? Is it like? I also ask a friend of mine, like being in business, like having businesses, right? So I'm thinking about like, imagine like there's a client saying you, hey, you could have like a new service line, right? So this is this moment, right? From this moment to something that you ship to production. And I'm not saying it's perfect, but it's just like, first version. I don't like MVPs, but basically like the definition of MVPs, but basically something testable, something that you can introduce to your clients, right? So how long? I would say that if you're lucky, I would say 9 months. If you are like super lucky, I would say 6 months. If you are saying less, I don't believe you. And why? Because there are various steps to take, right? And just like to be really tangible here, more. Okay, you have a product idea. There's some kind of research that you need to conduct, right? Either like think, if you are being in a small business, probably you have to check the data, maybe the analytics, or maybe go outside, ask people, right? Whatever, something that will make you convinced about this idea, right? Then, if you are in a bigger organization, you need some kind of like agreements, green lights, right? Budgeting, right? Whatever. The magic triangle of the project, right? Like business case, and so on and so forth, right? Then, of course, you need to have either like a team, right, or you can do it on your own, but it will take lots of time, right? Usually, you need a team. You need to spin up the team. You need to have some kind of business requirements. Then you need to prepare some kind of, I don't know, maybe like strategy for the product. Then you need some wireframes. Then you need some designs, and then eventually go to development. Even if you're following agile, still you need some artifacts to communicate with other people. And if you're not doing it, like you will fail anyway. Like they're saying, garbage in, garbage out. There's even a more brutal one. And probably some of you know what I'm speaking about, right? So the main anti-pattern here is that if you are an artist and you actually operate in this intangible domain like digital products, it's easy to skip the process, skip the stages, because it's not the physical domain, right? If I tell you, if you were a clay artist, I would say, okay, so but produce me like the product, but just like don't take the dirt and not clean it, right? I'll tell you what's the process in this domain, right? I read a lot. Also, I'll be visiting a clay artist physically, right, here in Poznań, or maybe doing my own pottery. We'll see. So basically, you have the dirt. When you have the product needs the dirt, right? Out of it, you have to clean it to have the clay. After the clay, there is a forming part. And the forming part, this is, let's say, the creative part. This is all we love, right? So this is like in the Ghost, in the film, like kind of romantic, like with Patrick Swayze and so on, right? This is this part. We all love it, right? And then you bake it, and then eventually you have something solid. So if you're taking dirt, if you want to speed up, if you're saying, I don't want to accept 9 months, let's do it in 3 months, right? Let's do it in 2 weeks. And you're not having the process in place, it's like gravity, it will hit you strong. It will fall apart. The pottery will fall apart. But if you do it in a digital domain, it's not visible, right? It's easier. And then what you have is like you experience usually teams that work slow, that products that don't have the business logic inside, I mean the business model. There's no coincidence that 9 out of 10 products fail in startup domain, right? And they are not aligned with with client needs. And it's similar, I would say it's about 70-60% in, let's say, more like self-sustainable businesses. This is the same. And just like I have a question for you, like how many times did you do it? Like did you transform the product idea to product done? How many times? Like in your business career, let's say. 3, 5, more, 10? Anyone? Anyone willing to speak out loud? Rather not. Okay. I'll argue that maybe the average is 5, right? So I'm speaking about it because I'm not the best like being with one product and being like on like 10 years in business. I'm not an expert in your domain for sure, and I'm also not a hyper productive guy. I'm in the middle. I can understand both, and I did over the course of last 5 years. I don't know how many projects like transforming those two, right, from product to product done. But I would say, if Michael Gladwell is true, I mean, is true what he says, that you need like 10,000 hours to be like an expert, I would say I'm close to it. I don't know what's the number, but because I did it many times, and I have a framework. And if I would say that you can go from this to this, right, in shorter, in less than 9 months. If I cut out finding the idea and development, I would say I have a framework. We have a framework at STX Next, and it can help to shrink you from, what if I say, from 3 months to 2 months, from 2 months to 1 month, from 1 month to 3 weeks, from 3 weeks to 2 weeks, from 2 weeks to 5 days. We have a framework for 5 days, transforming it. And it will take you probably 2 or 3 days of your time. Less is on our side. And I'll show you in a second what's that. But before we do so, actually, there's a guy on Nimal, right, in the room. Hey, okay, thanks for waving your hand. He actually joined us for those workshops, for this process, so you can ask him at the end, maybe, right, what he thinks about it. Okay, so I'll show you what was the process. Let's see the idea, the product need, just to keep it really tangible. Okay, I'll just like go from the forest now to France. So there is a company that we work with. This is the biggest sports goods retailer in the world. He operates in 49 countries, have 1,500 stores, and it's called Decathlon. And they have actually, they've created a strategy. It was really a visionary strategy. They created a strategy to transform their business, their focus from products to platforms, from being like more, maybe they won't agree, but this is how I see it from the outside, maybe more interested in themselves to more interested in societies, in connecting, building a community around what they're producing. And I think it's the best way just to leave the space for them. Just have a look. This was the product need for them.
To sustainably make the pleasure and benefits of sport accessible to the many. These words that we proudly state are the expression of our purpose. It is for this purpose that we, women and men at Decathlon, get up every single morning. By imagining a tent that can unfold itself, we allow millions of people to go camping. By making breathing underwater possible, we allow millions more to discover the underwater world. By focusing on eco-design for the conception of our products, we give a second life to millions of plastic bottles. Gestures from each one of us have positive and sustainable consequences for every sport user. Sometimes on the field next door, sometimes at the top of a mountain, or on the other side of the world. The pleasure and benefits of sport can be shared anywhere. In a world where sport has so much to give, providing attractive, innovative and technical products at the lowest price is not a job. It's our mission. Everywhere. For everyone. Because we love sport users. Decathlon.
Sports for the many, and they had a vision, really strong one. I would say they created, they needed 3 years to craft it. They ask stakeholders, they ask their employees, they ask their partners, they ask communities around their like where they have shops, and they create like a togetherness. Let's say they co-created the vision with all of them. It is a vision for 2026, and this is really like, I'm here on the left, right? Really spacious, visionary, right? One could say that they are like dreamers, but of course, like they need the bridge, right? They need some like more tangible stuff. So no matter what product you build, or service, there are various questions, right? One would say, I'm asking, what will be the cost? How fast we can deliver? How we can shorten the time so that we can deliver? What will be the tech stack? Is there a scalable solution for my environment, for instance? What are the features that should be built? Would the users really want those features, and what will be the interaction that is needed? All of those questions can be grouped into three main buckets, three main categories, right? One is a business product, right? Second is like clients, their needs, so customer experience, user experience, and the third is technology. And there is no coincidence that we have, as I told you about, here in the middle, the workshops, the framework. I call it a golden cord of product development, right? I'll explain in a second. So we met with people from Decathlon for actually 1 day, but normally it's like 2-3 days for a workshop, to have really a solid plan, solid production plan to move then to development. And it took us in total, I would say 5 days. It was 1 day for the client. Because why? Normally it's 2-3 days. We had really skilled and ambitious individual from Decathlon, and this was really positive for us. It was really that's why it was even faster. But no matter if you are fast or not, it will work in your case. And there was also like one benefit that will be good to express now. I'll show you in a second. The benefit is that, the benefit is that when you have a product need, right? So your compass, you know what to say yes, what to say no to, right? This is like your need, your strategy, could be like a initiative that you are following, whatever. So the benefits are just that you can somehow speed up the way, and you can have safer way. And this is actually, I told you about the golden cord. This is like what we produce over the course of those 5 days. So tangible artifacts. You have tools for your to transform, that enable you to transform the idea to a solid product. And in the case of Decathlon, there were all of that. I will cover them in a second, but basically you can think about like vision and strategy, right? Some artifacts, really tangible artifacts to encompass or to somehow just like describe the vision and strategy. Then the production planning, and then also this is the I would say, the cost effectiveness. Of course, I'm now referring to the detailed estimate and technological part, right? So this is the golden core, that as I call it, and this is how it was in our case. So tonic, let's say, so the first chord, right? If you are in music, you will know that this is the most important sound, right, in any chord. Tonic. This is user value flow. So this is like a framework that I came up with, that was inspired by Alex Icon, this is the entrepreneur from the UK. He once said that I started to earn money when I redefine how I think about what I think about money. He said that when I ask myself the question, not how I can get more money, but how I can deliver more value to the clients, then he started to earn money. And I took this approach and combined it with a let's call it like my artistic part. I was doodling around that stage very much to create really something tangible that help Decathlon to communicate the business logic to the stakeholders and get the approval really fast. Usually for startup people, it could be used for investors also. It's just like a one slide that can help you to convey the message about your product. And I'll show you in a second what did it mean for Decathlon. So you have a platform, right? On the right, there's a sport user. This platform was about to communicate sport users and service providers. I mean here not only, of course, like trekking, not only tennis, all of the sports. I don't even count how many of them, but really all of them, right? And we started from a platform for fishermen. So what Decathlon platform is supposed to give is like a quick and easy access to all components to practice the sports, like fishing, like places, events, marketplace, coaches, communities, and so on. And instead, they are supposed to be giving like engagement, rates, opinions, and bookings. As you can see, no money here, right? So you'll see what's the money flow also on this graph. And on the other side, service provider in this context could be like a guy that owns a fishing place, right? So where you go when you want to catch a fish. So he, let's say in other sports, could be like a pitch, a football pitch, could be like someone who organizes like events or trips and so on. So he's supposed to give places, services, events, and products and trips and trips. Sorry, and of course the money goes from here, right? So they receive money from the sport users. So actually sport users are actually booking the fishing places from them. There's also, of course, a part for Decathlon sport user, right? So they will be giving answers to questions, products, right, and domain knowledge if they will be asked about it. And also the other way around, for them, this is like a sales channel, like a brand awareness channel, right? And also a way to gather more feedback. So this is a value flow. It's more like a think about it this way, that is just like re-saying what they were knowing at this stage, but really in a really visual way. So you can take this artifact and communicate with your stakeholders. And I know Decathlon used elements of it while they pitched it internally. And it was successful. We're developing now, so it means it works somehow, right? Okay, what is moving forward? We also created client segments. I know you're probably all aware about personas and the profiles of the users, so I won't get into like details here, right? Also, we looked on the market, like benchmarking. We analyzed competitors to have insights about for further development. We analyzed Ironman, Active Network, and Runner's World. If you don't know, probably you know Ironman. This is like one of the biggest communities around sports. And we analyzed all of them to get the insight. So the benefit for us and for the client here was just to have understanding how to build a community around this platform for Decathlon. What are the best the best practices that we can reuse? Also, a subdominant, I would call it, this is the production plan, right? Subdominant is just all about being more moving from the abstract to something tangible, right? Somewhere in the middle. A story map. If you know Jeff Patton, or that doesn't matter. Basically, it's two-dimensional map that can help you to show all of the features that you want to build in your product, right? From left to right, you have user tasks or activities. From top to bottom, you will have priorities. And this was the example that we've created. Of course, this is a digitalized version. So basically, you have all of the user journey, right, of the guy who want to book a fishing place and also pay for it after at the end, right? And from top to bottom, we have priorities. So this is the MVP. This is the later release. And what gave us at that stage, of course, a solid understanding what should be in, what should be out, right? And help to optimize the budget at the end. Then interface ideas. This was created by our product design team, and I know Victor will have a floor afterward in the second part of the day, so we can also like hear more about it and about like product design. But basically, we created a look and feel of the application, right? So the main advantages here, like, is one picture is worth more than 1,000 words, right? So they use it also to understand what will be the end result, right? Also the architecture overview, so all of the components plus tech stack recommendations that were really long, so I didn't put them here, right? And that is obvious. That gave us a quite like a lot of security in terms of what we'll be building and just like mitigation of the technological risks. And last but not least, a dominant. A dominant, I would say, is a detailed estimate. So if you are all entrepreneurs, I would say, so the costs, right, and decompose into elements this, with some kind of granularity that help us at this stage to understand what will be the cost and how we should be managing them to be on the same page, right, at the very beginning. So we produced 9 artifacts in 5 days, 1 day with the client. And the main benefits, I would say, are the following, right? Reduced risk, business value proposition was definitely higher, cost to profit ratio, also time to market. We didn't do it in 3 months; it was like 5-day process, and also less work or rework. And you can also I'll show you the last thing is just this is the video that we created for a for trade fairs. But basically you can ask probably me whether this is like, you know, we put ourselves in this Superman shoes, right? No, we aren't. There are hiccups, there are challenges right now in development, but what it gave us is just like the confidence to move really, really fast, right? And the confidence of having all of the elements, like with the pottery, we had all of the elements covered, so the pottery could sustain at the very end, right? Could be a solid project. And if you are considering it, please, just I've got one advice, if I may, right? Also for myself. If you want to move really, really fast, don't do it on your own, or have a process. Doesn't matter if you do it with me or STX Next, but just have a process, right? Please. If you won't do it with the process, you can really harm yourself. And the harming yourself in business would mean like not delivering on time, or bugs, or not having the value proposition for your clients, or poor user experience, and so on and so forth. You probably get the idea. If you have any questions, how it can look like for your product, of course I'm here. I'm here to help you out. Okay, I'm not supposed to finish. The last message from me is just like I recently a question, right, from Seth Godin, and he asked whether you actually would hire yourself for doing the job that you're doing. And I said myself, I would not do it for many tasks that I'm doing, but there's only one that I would actually hire myself, and if I have money, right? And this is not about being better or than anyone or worse than anyone. It's just understanding my function, and my function is to be a connector, and I would actually hire myself. So if you feel like having like a professional, I'm here, or we are here, but it just doesn't matter. You have a process. You can steal it from us or communicate with me. But I wish you good potteries, good Song of Songs, good results. Thanks a lot.
I see a question over there. Thank you.
Thank you for your speak.
So how do you maintain the client engagement throughout the lifetime of that project? Because obviously you're talking with executives or senior sponsors at the beginning of the project. You know, how do you maintain that engagement over time with them?
So normally we start, we have a key contact or like 2 or 3 people, depending on like usually there's someone on the client side who's like a leader, right? And when we organize the workshops, we do it on site in our office, or we travel to our clients, right? If there are more stakeholders joining the workshops. In this case, for it's just to be really tangible, like to be really specific, there was like 3 people joining. One a tech expert, one a project manager, like a lead. It was not a project manager, more like a more senior position, and also a domain expert from this sport. Right, and from our side, there are always 3 people, like me, someone like me, like with a product business-oriented product knowledge, right? A product designer, a lead product designer, right? And also like a tech expert. So we meet for with this setup, right? For 2-3 days, depending on the project. We produce the artifacts. Usually, it takes us like 5 days or a little bit more, right? After this space, and then we move to. If there is a need to have the internal acceptance on the client side, we sometimes travel and also help to pitch the idea internally. And also, I know that we are actually somehow supporting Decathlon in this in a similar way, and we help to craft any materials that are needed to pitch it internally. So all the artifacts that you saw, they are exported in PNGs or some kind of like animated version, so that the client can actually introduce this topic in the organization. And if he needs our support, we are eager to travel. And then if everything is on place, right, we move to production. So basically, there's a kickoff meeting. We have we have a team, right? There's a kickoff meeting, and then we move to just like sprint 1, sprint 2, and so on and so on.
Okay, thank you, Pavel, for the comprehensive answer. And I think that was about enough time for us to move on to the next part. So once again, a round of applause for Pavel.
Thank you.